Hi there, folks. Saber4 here. Wanted to go ahead and get through a next part of our series. We're going to look at some of the Meta Contenders, looking at some decks that are not exactly, they're either new from Legends of the Force, or that are really kind of coming into their own with the power levels and tools that we got in LOF. Before we begin, if you have not done so already, please subscribe to the channel. It really helps out a ton with growth. Would really love to have you here and watching what we do, and thanks for stopping by. So in this video, what we're going to talk about will be Mother Talzin. We'll talk with each of these decks about a little bit of the philosophy behind them, some of the tools that are here, and then give some sample decks. The second one up will be Avar Kriss. We'll talk just briefly about the PQ schedule, and at the end, I wanted to go ahead and say again that there is a 5K weekend coming up, and there will be some more information on that at the end of the video. So let's go ahead and jump into Mother Talzin. Mother Talzin was a leader that I was not terribly high on in the initial wave of this. But as we are seeing more and more things with Han 2, she's really kind of moved up my target list quite a bit. And part of the reason for that is just the traits that she offers. This is what we have with her, is that this is a Vigilance villainy leader, so allows us a good combination. And that leader ability uses the Force to give a unit -1/-1 for the phase. When we deploy her on 5 resources, we get a 3/7 with the exact same power. May give a unit -1/-1 for the phase, now on attack. We don't have to use the Force in that, and we'll be gaining a Force token when we do it. So, what we have here, a little bit of the philosophy behind this. The leader unit, especially in a meta where Han 2 is going to be very powerful, is shrinking units. So if Han cheats in a unit, this is an opportunity to drop its health a little bit further. Several of the units that she has will impact that in other ways, but shrinking the units reduces their attack, drops them a little bit down further on the curve to kind of match where they should be. It lengthens the survivability of your units if you attack into them. Typically in this game, health pools are a little bit larger than the power, and so quite often what we'll see is that if we attack into something, we're going to have to kind of trade back and forth. And if we're able to shrink the health pool that those other units have, then there's a pretty good chance that if we shrink their attack too, we're going to survive that trade. Leader traits are very helpful here. It's a very force-heavy package. You're going to both keep Mother Talzin's ability available, and to keep on and keep pressing with the units that are Knight, especially, but also with Dooku. They are active with that Force token as well. Ambush is probably the highest powered keyword in the game. Similar to Luke Skywalker from Spark of Rebellion, although he does not have ambush, many of these Knight units can shrink a unit to the point where effectively they ambush it out. Some of that happens with defeat, some of that happens on play, but that's kind of what we can do with this, is that we can put our units on the table in many cases, use that Force token, and wind up shrinking units out of the game rather than having to ambush in and damage our unit. So we get some durability out of this, and we get some board advantage out of this. Vigilance, this color and villainy especially, offers us access to a lot of direct removal options, and because of things like Power of the Dark Side, villainy offers them in Vigilance at the best cost per event. It's also the best impact for event, since Power of the Dark Side can remove leaders. Also, with both of these decks, we're pairing it with red. Force Throw, and in Villainy case, Force Lightning, coming down and playing for 1 is incredibly powerful. And while that is able to be paired with Force Throw and to have units on the board that are Force active, it makes for a very, very robust removal package out of Mother Talzin. The last part of this is that she's got a big body. So 3/7 on 5 is on rate with the best things that we have available. It's combo paired with red and the Force. A lot of things, you're going to be able to get use out of things like Fallen Lightsaber. Many of your units, almost all of your units, are Force. They will be able to make the most out of that Fallen Saber. But that thing turns Mother Talzin into a 610, and a 610 that shrinks units -1/-1, and then pings everything on the ground, which very, very much of the set is on the ground. She's really hard to remove if you can stick her with a lightsaber on her turn. She lands early and is able to really start pressing advantage pretty quickly. So that's kind of the philosophy behind her. Let's take a look at the Vigilance tools. The Knight trait. Not only does this tie together things like Old Daka, but this is also something that all of it carries the Force. So those two are tied together on every one of the cards that we have so far in this set that are Knight. And all of them also have either a when defeated or when played effect, which means that, Karis comes out on 2 and can shrink an enemy unit. The Warrior comes out on 2 and can draw a card, so replacing herself when she's defeated. Asajj Ventress, both when she's played and when she attacks, gives something +2/+0 for the turn. And then finally, Old Daka. The stat line has not been very common on things that happen at 5. A 6/6 is big for that particular space. Power level is on par with Poe, although the abilities are not. But when you play this unit, you can defeat one of your Knight units and then play it. So it doesn't matter if it had a when defeated ability or if it had a when played ability. Old Daka picks it up, removes any damage that's there, immediately plays it from my discard for free, and so has access to the effect from one of your Knight units immediately. Removal. Power of the Dark Side, as we said, able to target leaders, though it's not targeted. If your opponent only has a leader on the board, Power of the Dark Side removes it. Fell the Dragon and Rivals Fall. Both of them are here either in the main deck or in the sideboard. And then we also have Anakin Skywalker, a very powerful tool here. This deck does not run Heroism that would enable him to do -3/-3 twice. But he is still at 6, a very powerful unit who shrinks down an attack, shrinks down a health pool, can remove a unit, and then stay in as a 5/7 body. Very, very powerful tool for this deck. The Aggression and Villainy tools. I kind of combined these. These are Force payoffs. And this is paying off for using the Force trait specifically. So Force Throw, which we already know, and is going to be probably one of the most heavily played cards until it is either removed from the game or until people find something to work around it. Force Lightning is the same effect. Only I'm paying resources to do it. I pay half the HP of whatever I want to remove, but I strip all the traits and text from it first. So this is very effective for removing cards that would ramp. Shock them, get rid of that text, and then pay a couple of force or pay a couple of resources, and you will remove that without them being able to put it down as a resource. Or in the end game, things like Crate Dragon. Well, this removes a Crate Dragon for 1. Yes, you're going to pay more resources than that, but you're only going to get pinged back with 1 damage from it. And then we have Villainy. Darth Tyrannus, who I did not picture here. If you have the Force, which is going to be pretty common in this deck, you are able to bring in Darth Tyrannus with Ambush. Now, he is also shielded. Now, those are both the same timing window. It is up to you how you choose to do it. If you ambush into something that has 2 attack, great. Bring him in, put the shield on him later with 1 health. If you ambush into something and you need to put on the shield first, put on the shield first, do your 4 damage, ping the shield, and he sticks around as a 4/3. And then finally, the Sun makes an appearance here. Not only is he a 7 that you can throw, the Red Dooku is in here as an 8 that you can throw if you need to, but both of them have the ability to really change some games if they are needed as late game units. I've played and gotten to positions in this deck where the sun hit the board and there's a force token out there, and all of a sudden everything went +2/+0, and we greatly changed kind of where the math was because my units got an extra half swing apiece. And so that can also really just wreck the math at the end, in addition to being a big unit if you need to throw something. This is what I have as a deck right now for Talzin. And Mother Talzin here, as we said, Force Throw, Force Lightning. Acolyte of the Beyond is going to give you your Force token either when you attack or when it's defeated. So either way, you get your token. Karis and the Night Stalker Warrior, Night Sister Warrior, Night Force abilities when defeated. Secretive Sage, this is a great unit that we got in blue to get a 2/2 shielded. Disabling Fangfighter in the main deck here to get rid of some upgrades. I think that that's going to be a very important thing. And in addition to drawing your Force Throw, using your Force Throw, who gets rid of the upgrades at the right time is going to be very critical in the early part of this meta. We have a couple ways to hide some things, Grand Inquisitor chief among them. This is just the best power unit that we have at 3 besides Marin, and it's still a better power than Marin when attacking the base. 3 is a pretty crowded spot because we have Disabling Fang, Grand Inquisitor, Marin, Power of the Dark Side, Fallen Lightsaber, all at this spot. We talked about Darth Tyrannus already, but then Talzin's Assassin is a great spot here at 4, being able to use the Force to shrink units in a very dramatic way when played. Asajj Ventress, boost your units. Devastating Gunship can remove anything that's at low health. Because it is not dependent on a Force token, you can shrink something down with Mother Talzin and then remove it since its health is lower. We've talked about Old Daka, we've talked about Anakin. Ruthless Raider is well known, being able to damage things from space, but it's also a good 6 to throw at things. Then we have Rival's Fall, the Sun, and rounding out with Count Dooku. As you can see in the sideboard here, bringing in Regional Governor if needed to kind of cut off specific plays. Same thing with Constructed Saber. We can make some of our units a little bit better. We've got the opportunity to put that on anything because of Force. Just kind of filling out curve with the rest of the things that are here in that sideboard. I think this deck is not uniquely, but well positioned to take on the Han Solo decks that are out there, the Han Blue, the Han Green, Han 2 Blue, and Han 2 Green, just because of how it operates, and especially its ability to shrink down those units that are played ahead of curve. And so make them a little bit harder to just trade out and win. You've got some removal options. You've got some good ways to just kind of work your way around them. This is not going to be the top of every list, but this is a good one to counter one of the top decks out there right now. Let's move on to Avar. Avar Kriss is a new mechanic. She is a leader that combines the cost of your resources along with the number of times that you have used the Force this turn. Her leader action is going to mean that you are never without the Force token. You just exhaust her and generate a Force token. So once per turn, you have immediate access there. Her unit side, she is on par with one of the biggest units that we have, which would be Palpatine. Similar cost kind of curve, but when you have the Force, she is +4 and Overwhelm. So she is an 8/10 Overwhelm. And remember, with a regular base, you generate that token on attack. And so what happens there is that you generate your token first. She now sees that Force token. She goes +4 and Overwhelm. And so the moment that we attack, we're in 8/10 with Overwhelm. That is a thing to note if you are attacked while you do not have the token, is that you do not have access to that +4, but Overwhelm is an on-attack ability anyway. So, philosophy for her, we're not depending on our attacks to generate our token. So we can access abilities off the rip just based on our leader action. Because of her size and because of her deploy cost, she is a major player in how this deck operates. She is not necessarily the win con, but she's a major player in how this operates. And so we are needing ramp combined with using the force to get our leader out in a timely manner. With ramp also means that we get access to some late game units. So the early game, therefore, is a combination of stalling and removing threat. Maximizing utility of force in the late game is very powerful because we get access to things like Yoda. And if we get a couple units to stick on the board and we have several of these things that use the force inherently, he can really just start mowing down your opponent's board without any inherent cost. Our aggression tools. I thought I put a set of command tools. That's okay. Our aggression tools here, obviously Force Throw, and then our removal tools, Sorcerous Blast, which allows us to both use the force and deal 3 damage. It does it cheaper than Open Fire does. Not quite for as much, but it does a really great job of kind of dual use there. Open Fire is in the list. Bombing Run right now I have in the sideboard. Things that use the force and give us some more card on table. Mace Windu, and he's going to be able to use the force and deal damage directly to one of your opponent's units. Coyote Mundi is a huge card draw mechanic. This is probably the best single card in this set as far as just what it does. You know, if you're using the force, 2 free cards. The Infused Brawler, who I did not picture here, you know, you have a build your own 4/4, and you can do that on turn 1. You know, let your opponent attack into a 4/4 that's going to defeat most things that are out there. You attack the base, you get rid of a token. You've still managed to attack the base for 4. That's a pretty nice win. But later down the line, if you're talking about Avar's deploy turn and you still have the ability to do so, that's a way to both put a unit on the board and use the force again. My removal package, my upgrade removal package, is largely in my sideboard. And again, I think this is a thing that you might want to really look into. That includes Kit Fisto's Aether Sprite and the Disabling Fang Fighter. Here's that deck right now. Early units, Gunji, Infused Brawler, Jedi Consular. Jedi Consular, even if I don't have something to put on the table, use the Force token. Hey, no thank you. Bear, not yours. Yoda's lightsaber. Our lone piece of space removal is Blue Leader here, and we're relying on that to kind of do some cleanup in early game. Ambush in, get some damage through some of the early space units if necessary. But then we are looking to things like Sorcerous Blast and to Open Fire. Eth Koth is probably one of the biggest tools that we have in here. Being able to put him down, attack, to defeat him, put down a resource, and use the force at once. Poe's big. Poe is helpful. We've got him in here in the 5 spot along with the daughter. Poe is my other set of upgrade removal. And then we work our way all the way up to Yoda and the Crate Dragon. As you can see, some of the stuff that's in here, the sideboard's a little bit fluid right now. I'm working on a few things that are testing more than anything else, and that's Bombing Run and Obi-Wan Kenobi, timely intervention, being able to put things down and be a little bit more interactive. But that's what we have right now for Avar. I think I put that slide behind it. Yeah. PQ schedule. North America is going to see a PQ every Saturday and a few random Sundays between August 2nd and October 25th. Canada and Mexico. Canada has the latest Legends of the Force event on November 9th. It's a little odd because I think we're on the next set at that point. Anyway, Europe, multiple countries, spans the same timeline as the US. There are about a dozen total, 10 total in Australia and New Zealand. Asia has several scattered throughout, I think, China and Taiwan. South America has several. I think Brazil and Chile most prominently. And then South Africa has a few. If you want to find those, you can go to the StarWarsUnlimited.com/planetary-qualifiers to find the complete list. And then finally, there's the command tool slide. We'll come back to that. Well, we'll talk about that for a second. Koth, as we said, very, very powerful. Counts as 2 on the deploy turn. Yoda's lightsaber is huge. We can play it to a non-vehicle unit, which we're almost all non-vehicle units. Use the Force cheaply. Heal 3 from our base. Playing it on Yoda is just absurd. You make Yoda an 8-10, the same size as Avar Kriss without overwhelm, but you deal damage to an opponent's unit equal to twice the number of units you control. So just a big, big bomb to play. Finally, coming up the weekend of August 9th and 10th, if you are in the southeastern U.S., and want to check it out, the Deep Dive Games in St. Mary's, Georgia, is on the border. It's on the eastern border of Georgia and Florida. 2 different things to play. There is a Premier 3K Open on Saturday, August 9th, 96-player cap, prizing to the top 8. QR code there on the left will get you to the sign-up page for it. And then a really cool event, a team event, a 2K Team Open on Sunday, August 10th. 20-team cap, 3 players on your team. You may not duplicate deck or base between you. And so you're going to look at 3 different decks in that 3-person team. Your captains will flip a coin and will decide on their first pairing. They'll swap and decide on the second pairing and then sit the third based on who is left. Prizes in there to the top 4. 5-round Swiss of these, best of 3 matches. So pretty cool ways to play. Do check them out. Link for the team event is there in the QR code on the right. That's what we got for today. Heading into Galactic Championships. We'll see how the meta shakes out. Good luck if you are going to Galactics, and we'll try and look at a couple of ways to beat some of those meta decks before that happens. We'll see you next time.